All right, scientists are scratching their heads as to why orcas are attacking and sinking boats off the coast of southern Spain. This video showing a killer whale slamming into a sailboat, damaging the rudder and tearing a hole in the bottom. Spanish authorities towed the ship back to port. Orcas have been sinking have sunk three boats earlier this year, and there have been other attacks as well. Spanish authorities are warning sailors to immediately leave the area if they see any strange behavior. I want to bring in now killer whale researcher Dr. Deborah Giles for more perspective on this. And people don't call you doctor, but instead Giles. So Giles, good to see you.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So there are a lot of theories out there that in one case, a female orca was traumatized by a boat collision and began, taking it out on other ships, and then fellow orcas kind of learned how to follow suit on that. Another theory is that, this simply is a game that juvenile orcas are playing for fun. So what do you think is going on?
I tend to be more in the camp of the second possibility there, where the whales have picked up this behavior. They do learn from each other. They are incredibly social animals. They're smart and can pick up behaviors quickly. I'm in that camp of play as opposed to, say, an aggressive thing, because I believe, given what we know about killer whales in general, if they were really trying to take a boat down, they would be hitting it harder. They would be hitting it in a more concerted effort. There seems to be a lot of interest in the rudder, in the underside of the boat, that the whales are focusing on. And the other thing that really makes me feel that it's more of a plaything with the boat is that when the boats have become completely disabled by sinking, something like that, then people are transferred to smaller boats. The whales leave. They don't continue their interaction with the second vessel.
Oh, interesting.
And so I do think that it's more of a plaything as opposed to an aggressive thing.
Right. So maybe they really don't want to interact with humans, but these boats look fun, from below the surface. I mean, that sounds like what you're saying here, because, just as you mentioned, these are very powerful animals. They are known to be very aggressive and stealth-like, right, when hunting. And so perhaps this unusual activity has something to do with maybe the fact that there are a whole lot more of these vessels that are in the waterways where they happen to be swimming, traversing, and then you get them together, and while they think it's fun, it's traumatizing for the boaters, the vessels, those people on the vessels.
Absolutely. I can't imagine what it would be like to be on a boat and have that interaction kind of, and it seems like for some folks it's over the course of several hours. It would be quite scary. But again, I think that given what we know about killer whales in other parts of the world, this part of the world in particular, we've just not seen that kind of aggression, even when the whales have been targeted in some cases by being shot at over decades. In some cases during the capture era, whales were captured. There's one famous incident where scientists, in order to document that we could actually tell these whales year after year as individuals, they took a pocket knife. One of them took a pocket knife and carved out two triangles in the trailing edge of the dorsal fin. Also, the southern resident fish-eating killer whales, back during the capture era, every single one of them was rounded up multiple times. And these whales saw their family members being taken right out of the wild and put into, taken away. And yet all of those incidents never has led to any of the whales in this region, quote, attacking boats. And so, and it just kind of speaks to the playful nature, they have a curiosity streak, and they do learn from each other, and they do adopt behaviors that spread through the population, seemingly popping up out of nowhere and often disappearing out of nowhere just as quickly.
Oh, but those earlier scenarios, that's so sad to hear that. So, while the orcas in this region are considered endangered, and now that people feel like they've spotted them, or there has been this record number of interaction between the orcas and vessels this year, a record number, are you concerned now about their safety, given that people, not only are they curious, they don't really understand, or perhaps are misinterpreting the intent of these orcas?
I do. I worry about the people's safety and I worry about the whale safety as well. I think that there are some measures that can be taken to hopefully limit these encounters, possibly having vessels, which isn't necessarily the thing that sailors want to do out there, but going in more of a groups of boats traveling if they're trying to get from point A to point B. That might be an option. Possibly having motorized vessel escorts. Again, not really the romantic, quiet sail trip that some people might be after. But I do believe that it's important to remember that we're in their world. We're in the marine realm. They were here long before vessels were plying the waters. As a species, they were. And so giving them the respect that they deserve and giving them the space whenever possible. If an encounter starts to occur, it seems like that one of the things that people can do is stop. That hasn't been effective for all cases, as I understand, but that it does seem to be the forward motion and water moving over the keel that the whales are particularly interested in. And they may just be drafting in that area where the water is being sucked along as the vessel is moving forward. And so that's one thing people can do. One group I did see banged on the hull of the boat to maybe drive them away. Things like that might help the situation.
Wow.
I do feel badly for the people. Obviously, it must be terrifying, but also the loss property is part of it too.
Sure. Well, hopefully no one gets hurt, not the people, not the whales. All right, Giles, Dr. Deborah Giles, like Bond, James Bond. I like that. All right, Giles, thank you.
Thank
Take
you
care.
so much.